Schindler, author of the Forever Finley short story series. In November of 2015, I wrote a short story called Come December. And at that point, I'd been a hybrid author for several months, meaning I'd published 4 novels through traditional publishers and had put up a couple of novels on my own through channels like Kindle Direct, Nook, and Kobo. And what I liked the most about the independent platform was that it was just totally wide open. You know, I could go wherever my heart wanted to take me in terms of subject and genre and even length. And I had been writing novels solidly for years, and I had this sort of hankering to get back to something short. I had written short stories a lot when I got started as an author, and I just wanted to be able to draft something from beginning to end all in one fell swoop. And as busy as we all are, I thought my readers would like that as well, to be able to sit down and read an entire story all in one sitting. So I put up the story, and during the holiday season it really started to take off and gain some momentum. It was hitting the e-readers and tablets of readers who had never read any of my work before. It was introducing me to new readers. And those readers were taking some time during their busy holiday season to write me emails and tell me how much they really enjoyed that story. So I knew, the response was so positive, I knew I wanted to continue telling this tale. And I decided that I was going to release a new short story installment once a month throughout 2016, and that each story would be titled after the month of its release. The most obvious way probably to continue the story would have been to keep up with Natalie, the main character of Come December. But that really wasn't, where my interest was. I was the most interested in this town. In Come December, I had depicted Natalie's new hometown as a kind of mystical place. And I was really intrigued by it. Like my readers, like Natalie, I had just crossed the city limits of this town when I wrote Come December, and I wanted to know more about it. So I knew the focus of the series was actually going to be the town of Finley. And in January Thaw, I introduced a couple new characters. Natalie took a back seat, but Finley did start to emerge as the main character of the series. By the time I got to Forget February, the 3rd installment, I got a chance to dive into the history of the town as well. So in Forget February, I got a chance to introduce my readers to the legend of Amos Hargrove. And Amos is the town founder of Finley. The story goes that Amos was a Civil War soldier, and his sweetheart Finley passed away before he could return home from battle. So brokenhearted, he founded the town of Finley. He named it after his sweetheart Finley. And what he did was create a place that he thought Finley would have loved to live. And the legend, what the town of Finley, what the residents tell each other, is that Amos believed that he and Finley would be reunited after death, that he would have created a place that she would have loved so much, she would have been drawn to it, and that the two of them would have finally been reunited after he passed away, and they'd finally get their chance to ride off into the sunset. But the legend also goes that until the two of them are united, Amos is still in town. His spirit is still there, and he is sort of manipulating the events in Finley. He is drawing people to Finley that he thinks would be a great fit for the town. He's granting wishes. He's opening doors. He's passing along sort of good luck. And he's getting couples together who should be together. And as I was writing, one of the greatest joys of this series for me is the ability to weave contemporary and historical sections together. Because we do have this historical legend, this story of Amos Hargrove, but we're also following along with a large group of couples in Finley. Each month we get sort of a different picture of contemporary relationships. We see couples who are just beginning to get together. We see friendships. We see romances. We see couples who have been together and been married for decades. We see the difference between what it means to find love early in life and find love sort of unexpectedly later on in life. And I love that. I love that element of it. I love being able to explore these contemporary relationships as they're being placed against a more, historical, almost mystical backdrop. Essentially, then, what Forever Finley has become is a short story cycle, which is just kind of a fancy way of saying that every single one of these stories that I've released and will continue to release throughout 2016 is a standalone. You can drop right into this series in July or June. You can start with those stories, and you don't really need to know what's come before in order to understand what's going on in June and July in those individual stories. They all function as standalone stories. They truly do. But when you read these stories together, they create a far different picture of the town of Finley. You get one picture of the town of Finley in a short monthly installment, and all together they create another picture. The way I've been describing it is that it's really like listening to an album. Reading Finley is like listening to an album. You can either push play on your favorite album and listen to it from the first song all the way through to the end, or you could, randomly select different songs, or you could listen to one song over and over again before you move on to another. And that's the way Finley functions. You can read this from front to back. You can start with Come December and catch up and move on through the rest of 2016 that way. Or you could read the latest installment and move around, bounce around from one story to another, just depending on whichever story seems to be interesting to you at that moment. So it's a different reading experience. It's not quite like reading a novel. It's also a different experience than writing a novel. So it's been an incredibly exciting journey throughout 2016. Each monthly installment will continue to release throughout 2016, and you can look for the complete series Forever Finley to be available as both an ebook and a print version at the end of 2016. Thanks, guys.